Nsfw, what's the most degrading thing you've done? This one time I had a bad stomach ache, ended up needing to shit, no toilet to be found, pulled off into a side alley off a main street and into what looked like a dead-end sort of parking lot. About to explode, I grabbed napkins that I had in glove box. I squatted on the wall to help support myself and I shit like a hippo. Only to realize that off the side of one of the walls, through a glass panel, there were a couple of ladies and a guy looking at me. One of the ladies was covering her mouth and the guy was laughing and looked like he was calling out to someone else in the room. Monsieur. I was mid-shit, in pain. I panicked, just full-blown panic. I pulled up my pants. I didn't even wipe. I drove home with shit-covered pants and my car smelled like shit for a good week. I've had a similar situation, stomach ache driving home, pulled over in a side street in Queens, and ended up shitting in the street right in front of an auto repair shop. Didn't have anything to wipe with but had a plastic shopping bag in my car. Ripped the holes a bit bigger, slid my legs in there and proceeding to start driving home wearing that like a diaper. A few minutes later I had to throw up. So I pulled over to the side of the expressway and treated everyone to the image of a grown man in a shopping bag diaper throwing up on the side of the lie. That's like paying for all your karma in less than an hour with interests. Worked as a phone marketer for 2 days. It was hot. I did this for 3. I was 15 years old and selling magazine subscriptions. Walked off the job when my boss told me my attitude was causing me to not make sales because nobody was answering the phone in North Dakota at 12:30 local time on a Tuesday. Apparently he thought no one has a job in that state. Even worse was I never filled out a W-2 because the manager told me, "You worry about making sales. I'll worry about the paperwork." And it was never done, so I was never paid for those 3 days. Lesson: ha, yay. He didn't want to make it official since he has to comply with child labor laws. That boss is a piece of trash. I was forced to beg for money in an airport to get $25 to pay for an exit visa. I was on a work trip with no cash on me and all of my cards had been blocked. Ended up sitting down beside the check-in desk for my flight asking everyone for money and was ignored by pretty much everyone as you would expect apart from a French couple who helped me out. The most degrading 2 hours of my life and I quit my job then following day. Why were your cards blocked? Was your boss so afraid of firing you that he stranded you in a foreign country to die? Now that is some next level dismissal methods. Oh, don't worry, he won't be back. Years ago, got drunk on a night out and lost my friend, started crying and telling a homeless man how hard my life is. Not my proudest moment, not me but a friend. Was also very drunk and handed a homeless man a 20. Her husband then asked for it back. It took 5 solid minutes of begging for the homeless man to agree. They're not together anymore. Wow. Well, when I was there bawling my eyes out to him, a group of lads asked if I needed money for a taxi. They gave me a $5, which I gave to the man in the end. I still feel super shitty about the whole thing though. Edit, bawling to bawling. Long story time. A few years ago, I had my gallbladder removed. I had been told to expect some side effects, but most wouldn't be too bad. The one I had heard is that your bowel movements may act different, as in, you have a lot less warning compared to before. Whatever, it was now 3 months later and I didn't notice anything. I was upstairs in my room watching TV while my wife had a bunch of her friends over watching a TV show which I didn't watch. My dog looked at me with those eyes saying, "Hey bro, I gotta take a shit. Your floor or the grass outside, your paw." So, being a good dog owner, I grabbed the leash and headed out. Slight tummy grumble. Here, monsieur. I started out, and got about 2 blocks away when the stomach grumbled again. Not a normal grumble. If it was the bridge of the Enterprise, everybody would have shook, and red alert would have gone off, with Worf at the ready to fire back. I walked another block, and a sweat appeared on my brow. I think this is going to be a photo finish, but I was 3 blocks from home. NBD, I thought, I've been in worse situations than this. About 30 seconds later, the realization of dread comes across me. This isn't going to be a photo finish. I've got probably 15 seconds from absolutely filling my drawers. There's a panic that is indescribable as you start to make rapid-fire decisions about what really matters at that point. Where can I drop true without being caught? My eyes are darting around with the fury of a rabid animal looking for some place that is hidden from view, but there's nothing of any substance around. My walking is now jerky and uncoordinated as my sphincter reaches its breaking point. I figure next to a fence is as good as it's going to get. In one rather elegant moment in a disaster, I deftly unhook my belt, drop my pants, and squat, letting forth the largest pile of shit I have ever shat in my life. 2 blocks from my home, next to a fence, for all to see. Once the panic dissipates, the realization that I have nothing to wipe my ass with, the prayer that nobody saw, and, oh yeah, what the fuck to do with this crazy mess that's now behind. I did the only reasonable thing I could imagine at the time. I picked up my own shit with my doggy bags that I had, walked home briskly, and never told another soul until now. My, how the tables have turned. Faked an orgasm so I could go back to reading my book. I'm a dick. What was asking the real question? Took a shit in a field and wiped my ass with a Wendy's bag. I've used leaves before while shitting in the woods, both green and dried out crunchy ones, but this is a whole nother level of achievement I can only dream of attaining. You mean to tell me having dried leaf spackle smeared up your ass crack is not the optimal way to wipe your ass outside? When I was unemployed, I let someone I knew pay me for sex. Hookin' for cheeseburgers again, Randy. Man's gotta eat. Fucking way she goes. I took a shit in a urinal when I was in the 5th grade. Well, if it isn't Stan Marsh. Or should I say, Standarsh. Applying for disability pension at the ripe old age of 28. I tried so hard for so many years before giving up. I really miss working. I spend my days doing physio to keep myself out of a wheelchair and trying to keep on top of chores, so I don't need a carer to help out. I am so envious of everyone who has workmates, a boss to bitch about and can utilize their education. I have an education which is very interesting to me. I had a knack for many things and had a bright future in my field. I know my job still use all the helpful tools and the guidelines I made while working there. Keep up the hard work doing your daily physio. You have enormous courage and strength to keep doing it every day. As long as you are fighting, you are winning. I don't want to get too serious here, so this isn't the most degrading. But working at McDonald's after college degree can be pretty degrading if you live in a shitty town. So many trashy people acted like I was literally mentally challenged. My only saving grace was that I looked young, so a lot just assumed I was going to the local college. But for the workers that were clearly 30 years old or older, it was rough. The nastiest, trashiest people would treat you like dog shit just because they could. I don't know what it is, but food really brings the inner asshole out in people. Look, McDonald's is nasty, but if it's bringing out your inner asshole, you should definitely talk to a doctor. I was running a 10K for type 1 diabetes, and there was no porta potty anywhere. I shit my pants and finished the run with feces all down my leg and all over my brand new Adidas shorts. They were white too. Edit. I was about 12 years old and it was at a function that my dad's work had put together. Everyone laughed it off, but he wasn't happy at all. I guess it's just another way I've disappointed him in my past. I love that it was a 10K and not a marathon. That's like pushing a kid out of the way at a turkey trot to get to the Gatorade table, then demanding a foil blanket after. Oddly specific. Sorted by new would be up there on my list. Ate lunch in the toilet for a whole semester because I was socially awkward. You know, you can just sit on the toilet and eat lunch to avoid people. No need to climb into it, bro. What on earth is going on in this thread? Not a lot of upvotes, but there's more gold here than in goddamn Fort Knox. I'm legitimately only reading this thread to try to find some clues as to what the fuck is going on. It's like Reddit's own Robin Hood is just chilling out here. Edit. Oh, for the love of God. For the love of gold, asterisk. Just days ago I walked around with a Tupperware container behind my large dog to collect her runny poop for the vet. I follow her for 20 minutes and finally it's time for her to go. I get the container down there and in the middle of it, she farts and sprays it on my hands. Disgust. This is the best answer. Licked a toilet seat. Polnareff, is that you? Hashtag MOHAMMEDAVDOL. Found a sandwich on the side of the road while drunk and ate the whole thing. Scum. Wrote guilty-toned emails to my supervisor when he disagreed with my choices instead of standing up for my choices like I should have. But I do not want to jeopardize my chances of graduating. Get stabbed with a needle repeatedly and sold plasma to make rent upside down face.